Hey everybody, Engine Doc back with you again. Got another engine to look at here. Got us a little Fairbanks Style C. Self-oiling. This little engine is a 3-horse. Showing it as I picked it up. Got it at the Portland flea market, swap meet. And going to start a little project with it here. It is one of the last engines before the war that Fairbanks produced. It's a fairly modern engine in terms of antique engines, in that it is self-oiling and totally sealed. There's not even a lubricator sticking out of the water hopper. It's all completely self-oiling and pretty much takes care of itself. I've got a project in mind for this if it turns out to be a good engine. I don't know. It's been sitting outside, and when we reared it up to load it, water came out of the crankcase here where the dipstick is. So it's been sitting out. Doesn't have a mag on it. I would assume that the mag hole let water in, hopefully. But we'll look at it. We'll get it apart. Take a look. It was built in 1941. So this was one of the last engines that they built before the war. The mixer and everything, the mixer's off of it. It looks good. Dirty, but you know, it looks fine. There's no sub base. And I think I may even end up taking the water hopper off. I'm going to try to put this in a tractor, and it looks interesting because as you're riding along, it's all sealed up and there's no open crankcase to throw oil on the driver of the tractor. So it may make an interesting little tractor engine. So we'll get a closer look at it here in a second. I wasn't bothered by the fact that it didn't have a mag. Fairbanks-Morse mags are real good mags, but you know, as with everything, they're dated. And I'm going to, at least I'm thinking about at this point, machining a accessory drive here to drive off the gear in there that would drive the magneto. And I'll take a look in there if the camera will focus. It doesn't look like it will. That gear looks pretty good. Anyway, I'd like to make an accessory drive here to drive maybe a water pump, maybe an alternator, generator to charge the battery. I'm also going to put electronic ignition on it. I'm going to put a magnetic pickup Hall effect system on it, and make it very, very reliable ignition wise and controllable. It can be controlled from the operator's position on the tractor. I'm also planning to put electric start on it. So got plans for that, and I'm either going to put a ring gear and a starter or a starter generator. I don't know yet. Jury's still out on that decision. So we'll take a look inside here soon. Alright, let's get the lid off of it. Take a gander in the crankcase here. I would think there ought to be washers on those. first look. I tell you, the gears look pretty good. Okay, cam gear here. Of course, it runs half speed. Here's the cam lobe over here, and the valve mechanism right there. So I would guess that this thing's in pretty good shape just looking at it here. Lots of sludge, which is good. This slings oil, and areas like this catch it. Oil the mains. Probably one over here, yeah. It's got some dirt in it. Got a little tray here that comes down and dribbles oil into this main over here. Got a little tray up here that catches oil and oils the cam. Pretty cool. I'll get that dirt out of there pretty quick here. And looks like it's just had some RTV type sealer on it. Let me take a look at this cover. Yeah, that's pretty good. I can seal that pretty easy with RTV. So far so good. I don't see much water in there. There must have been a quart of water pour out of it when we reared it up on its back to load it. But I don't see anything milky. It doesn't look like it's been in there very long, which is good. Yeah, I took the old shop sweeper here and just removed some of that loose debris that was laying on the rod in the cover hole there, and was looking here and noticed I didn't get the rod with the carburetor, the mixer that goes between the throttle arm and the bell crank here. And I just noticed there's a rod that goes from here up through the casting there into here and is actually by this arm. So looks like I got to make a rod for that. But I noticed that the throttle felt funny. It's got a throttle lever here on the cover, and that felt kind of weird when I had that cover on there. And it's just a spring inside like that. When you flip the lever, it moves that spring and rubs here and changes the throttle setting. So got a little work to do there. The fly weights move that pin there out. You can see it moving out, and actuate this rod right here. So got a little rod to make there, no big deal. And it's a little, I hear the exhaust valve leaking. I'm going to take some Gibbs, spray the valves here a little bit, and I'm just about out of this stuff. I tell you, I don't think I'm going to replace it. I've used liquid wrench. Liquid wrench does just as good a job and about half the cost. Tell you, these modern day hot rodders make a big deal out of roller cams. Hey, this thing was 1941, looky there, got a roller cam. Well, I've got some oil in it, all the vitals, and let's see if we can get this valve. Just take a little plastic mallet here. Probably a little rust on those valves. Kind of working a little bit here. That freed up nice. Okay, let's see if she's got any bounce to her step here. Oh yeah. Yeah, sounds pretty good. Well, the next thing I like to do is fog the cylinder and make sure it's nice and wet. Looks wet from back here. Let's go ahead and run her forward here. Take a look at that bore. I'm not going to take the head off unless I just absolutely have to. The bore looks real clean on it. You may not be able to see it from your perspective, but looks pretty good. These enclosed crankcases really minimize the wear. See what the plug looks like. Oh wow. Looks brand new. On the inside. Good old waddle light. Take some fogging spray. Give her a good little spray there. Can't get too much oil in there. Try to loosen her up a little bit here. Get the plug out of it. Work the fogging spray in. I'm going to stick the plug back in here. That's what it feels like now. Yeah, I hear that fogging spray in there squeaking past the valve. Ring. That's loosening them up. Getting a little ring fart going on there. Let me clarify the operation of this throttle. What this does is it's springy. So what you're doing is essentially on this button here that sticks through this little rod that sticks clear through here and actuates this throttle valve here, this throttle rod linkage. What you're doing essentially is applying spring pressure at the tip of my finger here on this rod. And that assists the flyweights in being able to throw out easier and slow the engine down more. And then when you take the pressure off of this, then it takes more speed to throw the weights out and slow the engine. So actually what that does, I think I stated that it was actuating here over here, but it's not. It's actually pushing on this right here and applying a little bit of spring tension and assisting these weights to be able to fly out a little easier, thus running the engine a little slower. So I just wanted to clarify that. And on the note of electronic ignition, I'm going to drill this cam gear and put the magnet into it. And that will, if I put it on the crank shaft somewhere or on the gear up here that runs the accessory drive, that gear and the crank gear of course run at crank speed. This runs half crank speed, so I will only have the spark plug firing when it's supposed to. In other words, it won't fire a waste stroke on the exhaust. so it won't fire a waste spark at the exhaust. It'll only fire when it needs. And I'm planning on putting a fairly low amperage electrical system on it, and that will conserve battery. And so that's going to be the next project. I think I'm just going to take some kerosene or something and wash out this crankcase. I'll open the drain plug and tilt the front of the motor up, and we'll let it drain out the back into a pan. I'll just take a parts brush and go in there and get the big chunks and flush it out good, and that's going to be it. I'll put the ignition pickup magnet in it, and I'll probably have to fabricate a bracket for the actual Hall effect sensor. And we'll get this turkey running and see what it acts like, and if it's manageable and if it runs good, we'll proceed with the project.